Hi there, my name is Brenda Titus, and thank you for joining me for my video series, My Year Recovering from Retinal Detachment. This is the 21st video in my series, so if you haven't seen my prior videos, I definitely recommend that you go backwards and start at the beginning as I'm telling the full story kind of step by step. Now, today's video, I will be beginning a section on cataracts. And so this actually could be helpful for people who haven't necessarily gone through a retinal detachment, but I will be especially talking about my own experience, specifically going through cataract surgery, having experienced a retinal detachment. So, as a reminder, I am not a medical professional. I'm here just sharing my personal story in hopes that it can help other people as they prepare and recover, either at this point from retinal detachment or especially from here, recovering as preparing and recovering from cataract surgery as well. So, a little bit about cataracts. Now, cataracts actually are very common, and it's a very common surgery that people experience. It's especially something that happens as we get older. Our the lenses in our eyes become less flexible. And so then it makes it harder for the light to come in through and be processed within the eye. So that's kind of the basic background about cataracts. And I will, like I said, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a medical professional, so I will add some links down below to describe it a little bit more effectively. Now, some of the common symptoms or things that people notice with cataracts: cloudy and blurry vision, difficulty seeing at night. And I think people usually think about this because of driving. And I'll talk about that in a minute. Difficulty reading fine print, and a change in kind of a perception of color. So maybe a fading of color, maybe less vibrant, or because we get back to that cloudiness. And I think this is where I'll actually talk about just some of my own experience as well. I definitely had cloudy, blurry vision, and my night vision, actually, by the time I had my surgery, was it was very, very difficult. Not only, and this is the part that I didn't really understand, I'd always heard before about people who had mentioned the glare with cataracts, and actually what it was that once it was dark, everything was dark. So it would just literally be pinpoints of light. And I didn't really notice that as much because it was during the summer that I was especially really that my cataracts were advancing. But I went out for dinner a couple of times, and it was at night, and being driven out at night was it was actually terrifying. It was so scary because all I could see were headlights and street lights. But at one point, we were driving down a street that I knew very well, but I had no idea where I was. Oh, by the way, I was not the one who was driving. Just to be clear about that. So that night vision, I think people often think about as with driving, but it actually, being in any kind of darkness actually, and that really has to do with how the light comes into the lens. So that's helpful to know. Now with the fading, the reading fine print, I mean, I actually was really struggling to read pretty much anything. So all of my work notes, actually my to-do lists, everything that I did, I was really writing with very thick, large print, and I had zoomed in on my phone so that it was very large print, very bold. And so everything that I was writing at home, I was really using not Sharpie pens, but the Bic Flair felt tip pens. And I actually really, at first, I really like to use different colors. So even the difference between blue and black. But at some point, I really could only use the black pens, and the blue were just more complicated for me to read. It's pretty frustrating, actually. So, and then that fading of color. Now, this is actually kind of interesting. I referred in a previous video about the fact that experiencing cataracts was very much like experiencing this haze, like being in the fog, except that the fog was like this sepia color. So kind of like everything felt more yellow, and so sometimes things would be less vibrant, very dull, and a little bit of that just kind of that sepia color. And at some point, I realized I was really truly having trouble differentiating color more than usual. The difference between, like I said, blue and black or blue and green, the similar kinds of things. So that was definitely interesting to experience. Now, commonly, cataracts are a gradual progression, and actually, so sometimes it's kind of this issue of, at what point somebody even realizes that they, kind of the frog in the boiling water, so to speak, where it kind of just happens over such a period of time, and then people realize what a challenge it is, or how much they're impacting their lives. Now, because it is something that happens as we age. With a retinal detachment, it really is something that just happens as almost like a side effect to retinal detachment surgery. And so literally from day one, it was very clear that I would be experiencing cataracts. They would impact my life. It would be a part of my visual recovery. And so for me, and that actually has to do with because there's trauma associated with the surgery to repair the retinal detachment. And so because of that, it damages the lens, if I understand correctly. And so really, truly, I experienced my cataract surgery 9 months after my first vitrectomy and 4 months after my second. So we did that, pretty quickly, and I did them maybe 3 or 4 weeks in between. And sometimes people don't get both of their cataracts done at the same time. My mom had a couple of years in between, and I actually have a friend I've corresponded with on Facebook who's had one but not the other. And then my mother-in-law, gosh, I think that she just did one. And, so everybody's kind of different. And plenty of other people who have told me, well, I did one, and then 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, I did the other. So there's kind of a variety of things there. I was really fortunate that I was able to kind of do that all pretty close in together. And quite frankly, I could not do it fast enough. I could tell how much my vision was impacted, both by, now I understand the combination of the retinal detachment as well as the cataracts. For me, in addition to that, the blurry vision, the trouble with darkness, I mean, it was very hard for me to see at all. I believe my vision was very, very poor at that time. And it also started really, hurting. It was very uncomfortable. And so I was really, as much as I was very scared, I was intimidated by this surgery, which I'll get to in a future video. I was very nervous about it, but I was also very much looking forward to experiencing my cataract surgery. So especially just with the idea that my vision would improve and that I could get back to my life. So that's how I looked at it. Every time I saw my doctors or whoever, I said, okay, I'm ready. And even though it was, like I said, it was intimidating and scary, which I'll talk about probably in the next episode. And actually, so with that, I'm going to finish up this episode. Like I said, I just wanted to do some basic information about cataracts as well as cataracts with retinal detachment, because that's slightly different, extra step there. So I will be including some links about a variety of things both in the comments section of this video as well as in the description. So I'm kind of trying to keep a lot of things about, similar things in the description of the video, and then in the comments, things that are particular for this particular video. Hopefully that's helpful. I know for people who are visually impaired, the easier you can make it, the better, but there's also a lot of information that I would like to share. So hopefully between what I'm sharing with you about my story and my journey has been helpful for you, as well as information that you can find in those links. I hope that it will help you, either you as you're going through this or your loved ones as they are going through this, so that you can help them. And with that, I will go ahead and finish. And like I said, next time we will be continuing our journey preparing for cataract surgery. Have a wonderful day.